So grace and peace of our Lord Jesus Christ to all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Time with Father Sam. So I am going to step outside here as I do this episode. Whoa, well, it's a beautiful day. You can see the colors on the trees and the leaves have changed, of course, this Thanksgiving week. And so we give thanks to God for all the gifts that He's given us. So today I'd like to quickly talk about one of the saints that the church celebrates today, and that is he's a blessed, Miguel Agustin Pro. So November 23rd is his feast day, and he was killed by the government of Mexico, actually shot by firing squad in Mexico City. I had been to the place where he was martyred. And also the church where his relics are kept in Mexico City. Well, he was killed a little or less than 100 years ago in the 1920s during what's called the Cristero movement. And this was a movement in response to the horrible and unjust laws that the government of Mexico imposed upon the Catholic Church, trying to really stamp out the church and not allowing any public liturgies, or restricting those severely, if at all, allowing them. The sacraments, access to the sacraments, priests wearing clerics, and the priests were actually hunted down, rounded up, and prevented from ministering in the way that they were, of course, called to by God. Just really a horrible time in the church in Mexico. And the people, to the point where they shed their blood. There's John, he's going by. So the people rose up against the government, and the government again imposed all these incredibly unjust things upon the church. And so we have to be reminded, even in a country like Mexico, where the faith had been very fervent, right, by the people, and the people, really did. There was a civil war as a result of it, because they could not stand for what the government was doing and how the government was trying to stamp out and eliminate the church. So that is what happened in Mexico less than 100 years ago. And Miguel Pro was a priest who would say Mass in secret, right? Go around to different homes in secret where people would gather. So it was kind of the church underground. And he would, he was suspected by the police, and the police were looking for him. So he would always use disguises. He actually had several disguises he would use when he'd go in public to go from house to house, but never could stay in the same house, under great oppression or great suffering, but administered the sacraments nonetheless, despite what the government said, and tried to prevent him from doing, but he went ahead and did it because he knew how essential it was, right? That's what the salvation of our souls depend on the practice of our faith and the receiving of the sacraments of the church. So, you need to see those as, of course, essential, and to continue to fight for them. And to make certain that our government doesn't encroach. And this is a very dangerous time, given the pandemic, and we understand what we have to do to minimize the spread, but to continue to force us out of the church and not to allow us to worship in the church. It does, call into question, what is the, what are the real motives here of the government? When people can go into big grocery stores and big even the mall, I guess, is what I've heard, and inside, big retail centers or retail chains with a lot of people around, and they can still do that, but they can't come inside to Mass. So there are some questions there that we have to look at. But we give thanks to God for the gift of the martyrs, many martyrs during the Cristero movement, and that they held fast to the faith, so that the Mexican people could still have the faith today, and again so fervent, so loving our Lord Jesus, and so pious, and give such a great example to all of us. And so, my brothers and sisters, have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll think of Miguel Pro, Blessed Miguel Pro, today. And he died with his arms in the form of a cross, and he was yelling out the battle cry, "Viva Cristo Rey," which means "Long live Christ the King." And so, long live our Lord Jesus Christ the King.